These children live in these old apartment houses. We are soon going to have a new home, they said happily, and everyone must agree they need it. Life is hard when a single tap supplies all the flats on the floor with water, and the toilet is shared too. Window frames like these have not seen glass for years. Just across the street, old insanitary houses have already been demolished and new ones are going up. Slum clearance is really starting again, for the first time since before the war, when the Conservatives and Unionists were clearing the slums away. A year ago, a new hospital was started at Southport. Not a single hospital was built during the whole 6 years of socialism. Many new hospitals up and down the country are to be built under the new 3-year program now underway. New buildings, and of course new factories, mean that we will soon need more electricity. Britain already leads the world in planning the peaceful use of atomic energy. Here's real promise of a continued rise in the standard of living. Meanwhile, electricity is already being extended in the countryside, and Britain depends as much on the country as on the cities for prosperity. People who live in the country know what this will mean in their lives. In a few days, Mrs. Robertson will be able to put away her lamps for good and switch on that light. In the country, big changes have been seen in rural building under the Tories. New and convenient homes were as much needed in the villages as in the towns. In this village of Pennybont in Radnor, water is still drawn from the pump and carried home in a bucket. No one has piped water yet, but it's coming. Grants paid for water supplies in the countryside have been doubled over the last 3 years. A new scheme with over 80 miles of pipeline is under construction in Brecon. New schools in rural areas and additions to old schools, such as new classrooms, are giving the country child better opportunities. These are the achievements of which the nation and the government can be proud. And now we go onward from success.
Well, that's the story. And I think it's a pretty good one. Everybody believes that, whatever their politics. I couldn't help rather liking that bit about the houses. You know, when Sir Winston Churchill asked me to take it on, I had my doubts. But we gave everybody a chance, and by working together, we got the target, the 300,000 houses a year. Yes, and we went a long way beyond the target. We got 40,000 extra as a bonus. And now, by use of the same methods, I feel certain that we can get the new target. That's to clear 200,000 people from the slums every year. And I think we'll be able to go a bit beyond it too. Of course, we've got to keep our economy sound. Everything depends on that. Well, I think Mr. Butler's the man for that. He's got just that right combination of prudence and of boldness. Oh, yes. Things are better, and everybody knows it. Now, I've got just a few more things to say to you, and since I've been pretty busy lately, I've made a few notes to help me. The cost of living has gone up a bit, of course, but not as much as earning, and wages, and pensions too. We're all living much better, and we all know it. Now, you know, the real test of a country's prosperity is the amount of savings, especially small personal savings. Under the socialists in 1950, they were 4.5 million. Under the Tories in 1954 to 55, they've gone up to 146.5 million. Over 30 times as much. Oh yes, you know, we've got the whole thing in our hands. There's a wonderful future before us. We've got the managers and the workmen and the brains and the backroom boys and the industrial plant going up all the time, day by day. We've got to have sound economic policy at home. And then there's something else we've got to have. We've got to have peace. Peace and security. Now, I've just got back from Paris, where I've been for 2 or 3 days. And I can tell you there's some pretty important things been happening there. Really dramatic things. Last Saturday, Western European Union was formed. And in this union, France and Germany have shaken hands for the first time after generations of bitter quarrels. And then yesterday, there was the formal ceremony of the admission of Germany into NATO. Some of you may have seen it on the news. And then, at last, based on these agreements, as the first fruits of these agreements, we're able to take a new initiative for peace. The 3 great powers have decided to send an invitation to Germany, to Russia, to join in our 4-power talks. That invitation has actually gone to Moscow. And in a few hours, the full text will be published to the world. But that, you know, isn't just an accident. It's what we've been working for. It's a further step in the patient search after peace which Sir Anthony Eden has been making all these years. Largely by his brilliant diplomacy, 2 wars, both of which were raging when we took office, one in Korea and one in Indochina, 2 wars have come to an end. And then 2 baffling problems, the oil problem in Persia and the problem of Suez and the canal, those have been settled. And they've been settled in the only way that really makes a good settlement. That's by an agreement which is thought fair by both sides. Well, now, of course, we've got a lot of troubles. We've got Formosa. That's going to be awkward. All the same, we've kept our heads. We've used all our influence for the policy of negotiation and not of force. And I'm fairly confident that things are going to get better there. The sky looks brighter already. We Conservatives, you know, have always believed in trying to negotiate with Russia. We've always worked for it. Our policy has been a policy of peace through strength. Well, now we're beginning to get the strength. And I believe we're on the way to get the peace. Would let me take an example. Just look at the change of attitude over Austria. Suddenly the Russians have accepted the treaty which they've stonewalled for years. In fact, I've got to, if all goes well, be off to Vienna in a day or 2, where I hope to sign the treaty as the representative of the United Kingdom. Well, then I suppose I shall have to come home and do a little electioneering. Of course, there are lots of difficulties ahead. There are lots of snags. There always are, you know. But the point is this. At every stage in our long journey, the Conservative Party has been united. United under Churchill and now under Eden. The opposition has been divided about everything. About Western European Union, about Germany, and now about the bomb. It's all right having all these different views when you're in opposition, because then you aren't responsible. But if you're in government, you are responsible, and they are asking to be made responsible. And I think then you've got to have a united view if you're going to handle these tremendous problems. Peace, you know, is a tremendous prize. But there's only one way to get it, and that's by unity at home. That's the only way that Britain can give the lead that the whole world expects. We want, for that, perseverance, steady nerves, and unity. Peace won't be won by panic, you know. It'll be won by patience. And so I come back to our motto, united for peace and progress. That's the Conservative policy. Peace and progress. And believe me, they go together. Good night.
The speaker in the first of the television election broadcasts by the Conservative Party and Unionist Party was the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, the Right Honourable Harold Macmillan.